Is it because I might be new to the process? Why is it you believe I cannot ask about gaps in the revenue? And for your information,
your next question.
I have independent thought and action.
Member, your next question. And that is not a budget number. That's another statement.
My question is, Minister.
Turn it on. Turn on the mic. Turn on the mic, Edda.
I'm assuming that these come at a cost, but I'm not seeing where that is captured. So probably you can point me to the line item. And I'm new, so I'm asking these questions. I'm new to the budget process, so I'm asking these questions.
Yes, very new, very new.
In essence, Minister, you're saying that you're not equipped to answer the question then.
Hi guys, welcome back once again. I really hope you're doing fine wherever you are. If it is for the first time I come across my video, I humbly request don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share. Okay guys, angry members of parliament and Jamaican people have really came out and called out Juliet Holness, the wife of the PM, and we all know Juliet Holness is a Jamaican politician and a member of parliament for St. Andrew East Rural. Before rising to the role of speaker, she built her career in public service and business, earning respect as a professional and political figure in her own right. Her political journey became more prominent after her husband Andrew Holness became the Prime Minister. Over time, she established herself as a leader within Parliament, eventually being elected as a Speaker of the House, which a lot of Jamaicans really came out and questioned this, because there's no way you can be the Speaker and your husband is the PM of the country, and a position that demands strict neutrality and discipline in managing parliamentary debate. However, her appointment has always carried a unique layer of sacrality because of her marital connection to the country's most powerful political figure, which is his husband, Andrew Holness. And in any democracy, the Speaker of Parliament is expected to stand above politics, to be neutral, fair, and the voice of order. But what happens when the neutrality is questioned? What happens when the person holding the gavel is also closely tied to executive power? That is the most controversy surrounding Juliet Holness, known not only as the speaker but also as the wife of Prime Minister and Holness. She has found herself at the center of heated debates. Accusations about her conduct, including claims of cutting off microphones of members of parliament, have sparked outrage, raised concern about fairness, and ignite a national controversies about power, perception, and accountability. And guys, I will just kindly want you to watch this clip to the end of how angry members of parliament have really came out and called her out, and then I'll be back with more comments.
Gaps are so wide and so glaring that we have not seen that kind of treatment that you laid out for us here today. So we didn't see the JDF people rappelling down from ropes and bringing food to the people in these remote communities. We did not see the JDF and the JCF and the NWA and all these agencies.
Madam Speaker, most of us appreciate English language and understand similes and metaphor, but you'll get there. No, Madam Speaker. No, Madam Speaker, Prime Minister, and thank you. I was speaking to the reports you were receiving. I'm certain you did not go there and collect that information yourself, but you're relying on those in the field to provide you with information so you can make the best decisions. And I'm saying that what was shared here today doesn't reflect the reality we had on the ground in South St. James. As someone who walked across the constituency from Wednesday until Sunday and returns there tomorrow, I speak as their mouthpiece to say to you, Prime Minister, that what you have received, consider, or will you consider that it may be embellished and not truly reflective of what we're experiencing? That's a question. My next question is about the scale of the damage and inadequate allocations. And I want to thank you and thank your cabinet for considering that $10 million allocation to a constituency like South St. James. But when you get a chance, and I know you have a long list of places to go, Prime Minister, will you consider coming to South St. James and these constituencies on foot this time and see for yourself the scale of the damage? I know that data is not our strong point in Jamaica. We don't collect enough data to show you that 5 or 10 or whole communities have been wiped out. And the speaker, the leader of government business can tell you, because he's from Moko, that Moko don't exist anymore. The houses have been flat. I don't know where to start with $10 million. And I'm asking that you do not apply a one-size-fits-all budget or purse to constituencies that have been totally demolished by devastating Melissa. That you come in, not by yourself, but with the technocrats, with those from Mona Geologics, those who actually, not the politicians, they're just noise. I want you to consider, Prime Minister, to come in with the technocrats and see for yourself, because I don't know where to begin with $10 million. And my final question, Madam Speaker, to you, Prime Minister, is compensation and recognition for community responders. For me, I heard when you mentioned, Prime Minister, you know, about all of these agencies that went in and did all of these beautiful things in the constituencies, supported by the men and women on the ground. I wish for you to understand that from our perspective, it was the entire another way around. It's 180 degrees. It was the men and women from the constituencies who went in first, second, and third to clear the way so that they could come in. And I want you to consider, or will the Prime Minister consider, that the stimulus package that you proposed be thought out in a way that not only the big contractors who come in with their trucks and their tractors from parishes in St. Thomas and Kingston get the big bucks, but consider, Prime Minister, that these people who use them saw, them hoe, them machete to clear a path be given some of the big bucks too, and not just the crumbs after they have swallowed up the bulk of it. Thank you. Madam Speaker.
The member from St. James South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a few questions. At the outset, nothing that I say is politically motivated. I guess when a politician is saying something, people naturally think it's political because it's coming from a politician.
Member, just straight to the question.
Madam Speaker, please. I have a mother that is in St. Anne. I don't have one in here.
Member,
right?
question, please.
Don't do that.
Straight to the question, member.
I am simply trying to set the context of what I'm saying by saying that nothing that I have to say here is politically motivated. It's a simple point.
No, but there's not a reason why I'm feeling we need to say because
my first question, because I think we have to learn from what we do. My first question, in the preparation for the hurricane, when the initial allocation was made of $200 million, we were told that some of us constituencies were not included in that allocation of $200 million. We raised concerns because the system was bigger than the country, several times bigger, and clearly would have affected every parish. Looking at what happened, where Westmoreland was told that we're not a priority, and landfall was made in eastern Westmoreland, do we think that we have the appropriate mechanism in place to make the allocations for impending weather events like this?
Good question. Good question. Good question.
My second question. In the lead up again to the hurricane, we were told that the supplies would not get to the shelters until the system started and persons started going to the centers. Do you think that was the appropriate decision, seeing that we were preparing for a Category 5 hurricane, and naturally it would have caused disruption in access to get to the shelters? I could have made my points easier. Idea, an accurate count of the number of deaths that have occurred in Jamaica. No. Because based on my count from my own constituency, in the Darliston division, there are 12. In the Leamington division, 4. Betheltown division, 2. And 7 in the White House division, which is giving me 25. So do we have an accurate count as to the number of deaths that have taken place in the country? Do we believe that the response to retrieve the bodies was appropriate? Because we've had funeral homes that had to come for some, and the community members had to bury others in eastern Westmoreland. So do we believe that the response has been adequate to pick up the bodies? In terms of the response of ministries, departments, and agencies, how do we go about making an assessment on how we deploy personnel from ministries, departments, and agencies to constituencies that are affected? Eastern Westmoreland is where landfall was made. A Category 5 hurricane, the eye of it, so that carries the eye wall, went across the constituency, starting in New Hope to Darliston to Betheltown, and then over into South St. James. Total devastation and destruction along the entire constituency. Do we believe that enough personnel from ministries, departments, and agencies have been mobilized for a constituency like this, which is in fact the actual ground zero of the hurricane? My next question: do we think that the condition that obtains in the shelters currently is adequate? The Maud McLeod shelter in Darliston, the persons there are sleeping on the desk that are within the shelter. Not one mattress is at the facility. Females are there that are having their monthly cycles without any form of supplies being given to that center. 3-month-old baby in the center. Do we think that sufficient work is being done in the centers, in the shelters that currently obtain? There are over, by my estimation, at least 2,000 homes that are flat, not damaged. They are totally destroyed. The foundation is all that you see. Do we think enough is being done to provide shelter, food, and water for those persons who have been displaced? I'm encouraged, Prime Minister, by some of what you have said. I'm encouraged by some of what you have said. Not being unreasonable, I'm encouraged by some of what you have said. The establishment of the points by the JDF is something that is long overdue, so that we can have access points across the constituency where you can airlift supplies to and then distribute from there, and that we can get medical personnel in place. The hurricane itself and the destruction that it has caused is a high-stress environment. To be hypertensive, have high blood pressure, and be out of your medication in a high-stress environment is a recipe for disaster. It's a ticking time bomb. So those persons that are within Eastern Westmoreland that needs medical care, the centers have to be set up urgently in a way that the army can mobilize persons to the different communities so they can attend to persons. There are at least 3 communities that are still maroon. And at Grand Gala, we see soldiers rappelling from the helicopters. It can't be just practice. Now is the real thing. Beeston Spring, Beeston Spring, the 3 areas that are maroon, Beeston Spring and a community called Touch Valley, and there's another section there called Left Hall, and then you have Amity up in close to the border with South St. James. PM, my own assessment, and I'm not a specialist in this, but my own assessment, looking at the damage to the housing stock, is that I believe that the only thing that I see that can quickly deal with it is the containerized housing solutions that come anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 US, landed and erected.
Member, do you have any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do.
Okay, please,
yes,
member.
Yes, I do.
Please, member, questions.
What is the possibility of us, as a country, putting a program together that will see us being able, and I'm sure the other members from Westmoreland will speak for themselves, but and surrounding areas, because Northwest St. Elizabeth is in the same category, you know. So it's not a political point that I am making, because the damage there is just as bad. What is the possibility of us being able to implement a program quickly where we can get some of those units erected, so at least we can get that mother from under the tarpaulin with her children? That is the current situation in Belmont and Bluefields and elsewhere across the constituency. We also need, if you want me to ask it as a question, when will we be able to have some repair done to the gas station facilities, so that when somebody says to me they are coming from Kingston, I don't have to ask them to bring me low sulfur so that I can drive? When will we have some facility in place that persons can get access to fuel, so that they can, even the elected officials, that they can actually go to the communities? Madam Speaker, I have nothing but concern for the people that I represent. I don't care who they voted for. Not my concern at this time. I'm talking about the people and how they are currently living. Anybody who doubts what I am saying, take a trip for yourself. And if it doesn't cause you to have tears, then you are not human. Anybody that doubts what I'm saying, take a trip for yourself. If you think that I am just here grandstanding, take a trip for yourself and have a look at the situation. It is a total and complete disaster in eastern Westmoreland, and this is a cry for help.
When the former speaker was forced to resign as a result of an integrity commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister, so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government, really does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. The Speaker is intended to be independent and must act independently of the government of the day. That is the tradition. That is the tradition. The failure, Mr. Speaker.
Members.
The failure to identify the so-called illicit 6 MPs.
Your Prime Minister fire you, go outside. Your Prime Minister fire you, go outside. Your Prime Minister fire you. Your Prime Minister fire you, go outside. Go outside.
Members, member, that's not how the Speaker operates. So I'm going to say it for the final time. Your question must be as it relates to the statement that was made by Minister today. Your question must be exactly in keeping with the statement by Minister. That is the ruling. Your question should not be questions about National Works Agency, Ministry of Health, and all the other ministries that this minister is not responsible for. All your questions must be questions in respect of his statement and ministry.
In his statement said this administration is one that puts the concept of
just go straight to the question,
government.
member.
Is the minister aware of outstanding amounts?
Member, please take your seat. Please take your seat. Please take your seat. The member from St. James West Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
On Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions? Minister. Oh, you have another one?
Madam Speaker, I am here on behalf of the residents of Southeast St. Andrew who are anxious because 4 weeks ago, when we had heavy rains,
what is your question?
I'm coming to it.
No,
ask your question. I am coming to my question.
Top the statement by Minister. The member from Westmoreland Western, from Westmoreland Central, his question was not in respect of a statement made by the Minister, and neither is this question being asked by, the member from St. Andrew. Southeast.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Members, there's a question from the Leader of Opposition, the member from St. Andrew South.
I'm very concerned by the way in which the proceedings are being conducted. We are attempting to ask questions. We are attempting to ask questions arising from the statement. The statement was a wide-ranging statement. It not only touched and concerned the specific minister's portfolio, he also said he was speaking on behalf of the Minister of Local Government, who is overseas, who has direct responsibility for disaster preparedness. On more than one occasion, the member on this side who was sought to ask a question has been prevented from completing the question, and instead a point of order has been taken, which I don't know what the ruling was, or you yourself have intervened to prevent the statement, the question from being asked. I want to know what the question was that the member for South East St. Mary was seeking to ask. I don't know what his question is.
Member.
Hi guys, welcome back once again. I really hope you watched the full clip, and one can really says that the role of the Speaker of Parliament is one of the most delicate positions in any democratic system. The Speaker is expected to act as a referee, impartial, composed, and committed to ensuring that every voice in the chamber is heard fairly. But when that perception of neutrality is shaken, the consequences can ripple across the entire political landscape. This is the situation that has unfolded around Juliet Holness. Report and public discussion suggest that tension have risen in parliamentary session, with some members of parliament expressing frustration over her leadership style. Allegations that microphone was switched off during debates have particularly fueled criticism, as such action can be interpreted as silencing dissenting voices. In a democratic setting, even the position of silencing is powerful. Parliament is meant to be a space where ideas clash openly, where opposition voices challenges the government, and where transparency is upheld. When MPs feel that the ability to speak is being restricted, it creates not just anger but mistrust. We have all seen this has been a habit of Juliet Holness. Whenever any opposition leader is trying to speak out, point out what the government is doing, she usually come out and cut off their mark, because these people, they usually speak the truth. They usually come out and say what the government is doing to the people. The controversy is further intensified by her relationship with Andrew Wilson. Critics argue that it is difficult, it is not impossible, for a speaker to be seen as fully neutral while being married to the head of government. Even if every decision is made fairly, the perception of bias can still exist, and in politics, perception often carry as much weight as reality. A lot of Democrats really came out and questioned this, because they say that there's no way this system, the Speaker of Parliament can be the wife to the PM of the government. There will be a lot of corruption, and whenever if the PM can get into any trouble or any scandal, his wife will always be there to protect him. There's one why a lot of Democrats really came out and said that we are tired of this new leadership, we are tired of this government. And there's one why I've all seen a lot of Democrats that really came out and said that our government is too corrupt, because this system doesn't favor their local people. And many Jamaicans and political observers have raised concern about this overlap of roles. They question whether the system should allow such a situation in the first place, emphasizing that democratic institutions must not only be fair but also appear fair to the public. On the other hand, it is important to recognize that holding individual accountability should not automatically dismiss their qualification. Juliet Holness has her own track record, her own achievement, and her own mandate as a leader. The challenges lies in balancing that recognition with the responsibility of maintaining absolute impunity in a highly role. And the reaction from MPs described as anger of resistance highlight a deeper issue within the parliamentary culture. When communities break down, when trust is weakened, and when authority is questioned, the entire legislative process can be unstable. This moment is not just about one individual, it's about the standard we expect from democratic leadership. It raises critical question: can true neutrality exist in such circumstances? Should system be designed to avoid even the possibility of perceived conflict of interest? And how should leaders respond when the authority is challenged publicly? And leadership is not just about holding power, it's about how that power is exercised. And in a democracy, the loudest voice should never be the one with control of the microphone, but the one that speaks with fairness and integrity. I've all seen a lot of Jamaicans and angry membership of the parliament have really come out and questioned Juliet's stubbornness and his attitude toward people, because whenever she just had some people speaking the truth about the government, she usually come out and switch off their mic, because she doesn't want to listen to the truth. She doesn't want to listen to the problems of the people. She doesn't want to see how this system is so corrupt. And this is the reason why she usually come out and switch off the members of parliament microphone. And this is the reason why a lot of people have really come out and questioned this and saying that we are tired of this government, because there's no way the husband and the wife can control all the system, can control all the government. This means that there is a lot of corruption in our system, and Jamaican, it's right, it's high time for you to rise up. It's high time maybe to change and make a better decision. So guys, I humbly request, if it was the first time I come across my video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share this content. Thanks so much for your time. Be blessed whenever you are. Let me see you in the next clip.